Hey everyone, I'm Ben from Cinema Gulp. Welcome to the channel, and this is what I thought of the cinema landscape of 2021.
Yeah, boy!
So this year saw the return of a lot of moviegoers in the cinema, which warmed this man's heart. I saw a lot of great films, a lot of fun films, and some bad ones, but I saw them in the theater, and that makes me happy regardless. I'm going to start out on a positive note. Most of this video is positive, but I do have some disappointments, some meh, and a worst movie of the year. But for the most part, I want to celebrate what I liked this year. Starting off with my pleasant surprise, Free Guy. Boy, this movie was a breath of fresh air for your summer blockbuster filled with amazing special effects, a typical leading man who always brings it, but for the most part is kind of always the same. I was happy to see Free Guy be a guy, and be a guy's guy, and allowed to be the hero in his own movie. This movie was a blast. It was non-cynical, it was really funny, it was optimistic, it had amazing special effects, amazing action scenes, a lot of great punchlines. I know it's based off many different types of AI, VR, video game type of shit that I don't know anything about, but I loved this movie. Pleasant surprise for me. Most fun I had in the movie theater this year, I know I'm not alone on this one, SpiderMan No Way Home. Do I even need to talk about it? The return of Tobey Maguire, the return of Andrew Garfield, the inclusion of Doctor Strange, the inclusion of Dr. Ock, the inclusion of Dr. Osborn, the inclusion of the electric guy, I know his name, Electro, and then you got the Lizard and the Sandman in there too. What a great film, what a great performance by our young Tom Holland. This movie just worked in every way. I love that our two additional Spider-Men were not cameos, they were an integral part of the third act of this movie, and I fucking ate it up, and I loved every second of it in the theater. It was a loud theater, thank God. My guilty pleasure that I know has flaws, but I can't help but love it.
Yeah? So sue me!
Ghostbusters Afterlife. Yes, there's timeline issues that don't make any sense. There's kids that came out of nowhere. There's a misuse of the original cast to an extent, but boy, was this movie fun. Paul Rudd brought the laughs, the kids brought the fun Stranger Things vibes. It's funny that I'm saying they brought the Stranger Things vibes when Stranger Things pretty much was influenced by all this kind of stuff before it. But I loved Ghostbusters Afterlife. I don't know why I'm calling it a guilty pleasure. Fuck that. It was great. Best movie over 4 hours that was reshot, recut, and re-released. Well, that has to go to the Snyder Cut. I'm sure there was other ones, or maybe there wasn't. But the Snyder Cut was a vast improvement over that shitstorm that we got in 2017 by the now killed his own career controversial director, who I will not mention. I know he had a tough job ahead of him, but dude, come on. Snyder Cut was fun. It was great. One can't help but think, obviously, that the only reason this was good is because it was a director's wet dream. Everything got kept in that they wanted. Could this have been cut down to 2.5, 2 hours and 45 and been as good? We'll never know. But as the best movie that was 4 hours, that was reshot, recut, and re-released, I give it to Justice League the Snyder Cut. Now we dip into a little bit of the negative quickly. I won't go over this very much, but the meh award, and I know I'm on an island by myself in this one, but Dune was just very meh for me. I don't know. I guess it's beautifully shot. To me, it was fucking dark. I could barely tell what was going on. All these great charismatic actors with really nothing to do. Yeah, I don't know. Dune just was meh. Biggest disappointment of the year for me.
What the fuck?
The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I did a video earlier on in the year about my frustrations because I thought 1 and 2 were classic horror movies, some of the best of the decade, and this movie was a pile of dog shit. Worst movie of the year. Trust me, this will peak out my negativity. Halloween Kills is a fucking disaster. I hate every second of it. I hate the negative, gross, ugly vibe of it. I just think it's a piece of shit, and the less said about it, the better. Now we move on to bonkers plot. I give that to old. I mean, and you're usually gonna give bonkers plot to an M. Night Shyamalan movie. And I actually gave this movie a positive review. I quite enjoyed it. It was very suspenseful, very intense. It's got your typical hokey characters, your hokey dialogue, your hokey sort of, reveals and stuff like that. But I liked Old. It was a fun movie, and you could tell it was a low budget and it was utilized well. Old is pretty cool. Funniest movie of the year for me, and this is weird because it doesn't really feature any comedic actors, but it's Don't Look Up. This movie was fucking hilarious, and it had me gut busting so much. It obviously knew what it was, and I know some people are calling it preachy in some way, but I just took it at face value and the stupidity of government and the stupidity of politicians, and it fucking worked for me. I thought it was great. I thought it was hilarious.
Top 5, baby, yeah.
SpiderMan No Way Home. It's one of the best movies of the year. It's one of my favorite comic book movies. Time will tell if it's my favorite Marvel movie. I'm still a Winter Soldier guy, but we'll see. Nightmare Alley, holy fucking shit, this movie was brilliant. It was beautiful. It had that film noir vibe that just gets me tingling every time I see something with the color palette. I love the silhouette shots. You never really know where Nightmare Alley is going, and I normally don't like movies that take anything as far as time jumps go, and this one takes like a 2-year time jump, but it makes sense in the context of this movie. And this movie, all 3 acts worked so well for me, and one of the best performances of the year, which I'll get to later. The French Dispatch. I'm a Wes Anderson head through and through, so this is bias. I understand that, but man, this movie is so much fun to watch. I love that he finally did what I always wanted him to do, which was a 3-play vignette. Like, he did 3 different stories in his film, all centered around this newspaper called The French Dispatch. I loved all 3 stories. I think the Benicio del Toro one, the very first one, was the strongest, and I think they got weaker as they went, but he always just gets the greatest actors to be in his films. And this movie is, you could call it a moving painting. You could call it I was a theater tech person. I was a stage manager in high school and a little bit in college, and I know how sets move around and how you have to break apart one city set to look like a bedroom set. And this movie does that, and it's so fluid and gorgeous and colorful, and it's just a wonderful movie, and it just, to me, it just expresses everything about Wes Anderson as a filmmaker. Licorice Pizza. This is going to possibly be one of my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movies. Great performance, unbelievable performances. That's really what keeps this movie together. Great fun writing. It's just one of those old classic type of coming of age movies that it relies on just situation over story, characters over story. There is a great story and there's a great 3 acts to it, but it's just a lovely movie, and I think it's probably Paul Thomas Anderson's sweetest movie. I've always loved his work, but he has a mean-spirited vibe to him sometimes, which I love. But this is like his sweet movie. My favorite movie of the year, I talked for an hour and 45 minutes about this movie, Pig. Pig is a masterpiece from a first-time director. It's such an emotional ride. I can sit here and talk about how I think movies look beautiful, sound beautiful, great scenes, great scenery, great performances. Pig makes you feel so many different things while you watch it. And it is a literal 3-act structure. It actually has 3 separate chapters to it that are all named. It's a brilliant movie, and I'm so jealous of the director of this movie for being able to put this together, get this performance out of Nicolas Cage. I've watched it a few times since I've got it on Blu-ray, and it is proving to be one of those rewatchable movies. It's not over long. It's wonderfully written. Every character is never shortchanged. It's just, dare I say, perfect. My favorite performances of the year, obviously Nicolas Cage for Pig, and I think Bradley Cooper from Nightmare Alley gave one of the best performances of his career, definitely one of the best of this year. I might say this wrong, but Elena Haim from Licorice Pizza was just so endearing and sweet and expressive, and she was just so full of energy and charisma. God, she just was magnetic in this movie. I loved her, and if this was her first film, holy fuck, she's got a career, because she just completely wraps you up in this performance, and you can't take your eyes off her on screen. So everyone, thanks for watching my little breakdown on what I thought of the cinema landscape of 2021. I'm very optimistic, hopefully optimistic, about 2022, and theater going experience is on the rise. We have got a lot of great stuff coming out. It makes me happy. It almost brings a tear to my eye. I'm so happy that we, for the time being, sort of made it through this, and movie theaters survived, and they're fighting on, and we got to give them credit, and we got to give them our support. If you're a movie lover and a movie goer, keep going to the movies, because these movies are great in the cinema. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Ben for Cinema Gulp. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Share this with your friends. Tell your neighbors. Until next time, we drink your cinema. 'Cause I remember